This is a display called A Day to be Remembered, and it is a collaborative exhibition between the library and the Massachusetts Historical Society to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Minuteman National Historical Park. And essentially there are two parts to the exhibit. One part is about documentation, contemporary documentation of the Concord fight, and about sort of pieces remembering the Concord fight. And the other part is about commemorative anniversary celebrations in Concord of the fight. And it all culminates with the establishment of the Minuteman National Historical Park in 1959. So we begin with the Amos Doolittle prints of Concord at the time of the Concord fight and of the North Bridge, and with some really iconic printed documents like the 1774 Solemn League and Covenant, which was basically a response to the Boston Tea Party, the closing of Boston Harbor. Concord people, several hundred Concord people signing a document saying that they're not going to import British goods and use British goods. And it's quite a bold maneuver at that time period. They're taking a stand that's public and visible and pretty brave. And then this is another piece that just about everybody will recognize, the Bloody Butchery broadside, about a response to the Concord, to Lexington and Concord. We've got, from the Historical Society collection, we have a letter by Paul Revere that was written in response to a request by Jeremy Belknap of the Historical Society, asking Revere to write down what he remembered about the 18th and 19th of April in '75. And so here in Paul Revere's own handwriting is his account of what happened. It's just awesome to be able to see it so directly from the source. Here are 6 documents in which Concord people are making claims for things that they lost to the British troops on the 19th of April. And one of them is a claim by Reuben Brown, who was a saddler and who was one of the people who, like Paul Revere, went out to be an alarm rider. And the things that he's losing are very typical, what you would expect, and you would expect that these things would have use for the British troops. There are bridles and there are saddles and so forth. Some of the other items and some of the other listings don't make a whole lot of sense to me. There are aprons and caps and yards of lace and handkerchiefs, and why British troops are going to be hauling this stuff off in a time of war is beyond me, but I guess we have to take it on faith that they really did providing. And then this is an incredibly iconic document. A number of people know that this is here. This is Concord's copy of the Declaration of Independence. It's basically a third-generation Declaration of Independence. There's the manuscript one that you can see in the National Archives. From that one was printed versions that were sent to the various colonies. Then within the colonies, a whole series of these declarations were printed up to send to the towns so that everybody could be informed about what it was that had been decided. This is sort of pre-internet. This is the printing press as an agent of change, as a method of getting the news out. This, to me, tells the whole story of what's really good about archival research, what it means, what's valuable, and that's basically interconnecting sources that dovetail. And as you probably know, you can't take a single document and tell a whole meaningful story from it. You take 2 documents that talk about different aspects of it, you get a better story. You take 3 or 4 documents and maybe some photographs and some newspaper accounts, and you start to get a really full picture. This, to me, is just a very exciting showcase, because these 2 items are from Concord's collection. That item is from Mass Historical Society's collection. This is a letter from Edward Everett accepting the invitation from Concord to speak in 1825. This is the actual oration that he gave. This is his diary that he kept, and he's got it. This is open to the page for April 19th, 1825, in which he tells his version of going out to Concord and giving the oration. And so you get the official point of view, you get the personal point of view, and it just makes a much richer story to be able to draw on multiple archives than thinking that the document that gives the speech is the whole thing. You know, you need to flesh out the picture. So this side deals with primarily, the focus is on the 1875 celebration and the 1975 celebration. We have a little bit from 1825, a little bit from 1850, and it just shows the way that Concord really early on started to make a big public ceremonial deal out of this, recognizing, fixing locally the importance of the meaning of the day, and in the process fixing it nationally too. And that's really why the Minuteman Showcase, even this whole thing is about the Minuteman National Historical Park's birthday. The showcase is at the end because in some ways that's a culmination. The establishment of the national park is a recognition that the story is a national story. It's not just a Concord story. It belongs to everybody in the country. Some of the items that are here, we've got wonderful photographs of the 1875 celebration. Then we have some documents about the back and forth between Lexington and Concord, which started somewhere around 1825 over whether they could collaborate and share the glory of this day or not. And they managed to do it in 1850. There was a union celebration of all the towns, including Concord and Lexington. 1875, they started out with good intentions, but it kind of went south from there. And so you see they're starting, and then you can see the effort is failing, and they give up on it eventually. And then in the next showcase, we have the 1975 ephemera, which includes programs and parade listings and things like that, copies of the invitation, but also a very important note of dissent. This is a newspaper message by the People's Bicentennial Celebration, people who were making an economic and social protest as part of the 1975 celebration. And of course, I've talked to people in Concord who were there and felt that the People's Bicentennial absolutely ruined the occasion for them. And I've talked to other people who were there and didn't necessarily pay much attention to the People's Bicentennial, but felt that somehow the fact that they were there, that they were allowed to make their protest, was the essence of what the Concord fight had been about. And so, you know, it's a part of the story. And here we have two photographs by Bill Anderson. We have Gerald Ford speaking at the North Bridge, and then we have Mike and Kitty Dukakis walking past the Colonial Inn, and on the right-hand side you can see the People's Bicentennial. So they were definitely a presence here. And a few of the documents, the Mass Historical Society has wonderful papers, the papers of Leverett Saltonstall, in which there's a lot of material about the establishment of Minuteman, because Saltonstall was deeply involved in that. And then we end up with Ruth Wheeler's Northbridge Neighbors, which is a very humble little typescript report, an early, if not the first report for Minuteman on some particular historical aspect. And I'd like to show this. I'm glad to be able to show this because nowadays the park reports that come out are polished, finished products by historians from Lowell, PhD historians, and this is very much the beginning of that process where you've got a local historian who's putting out something that's just a typescript with hand-marked maps and so forth. It's humble beginnings, and the park has grown a lot since then. So that's the display in a nutshell.